everyone, my name is Sally McFadden and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Huntsville, Alabama. I blog at thepolkadotlife.com. You can stop by there at any time, 24 hours a day, have a look around, shop, request a catalog, all of those things. Today we are going to be working with another great Sale-A-Bration item. It is made up of designer series paper and a coordinating stamp set. It is one item and you need to spend $100 in product to earn this free gift. But it is so worth it. It is just beautiful for everyday cards, all occasion cards, birthday, sympathy, thank you, thinking of you, all of those things that we always are in need of, and it will never go out of style. It's just timeless and classic. And it features a lot of that Orchid Oasis color that I know you are all loving. So let's put the camera down and get started on today's project. First off, I do want to let you know that you need to be checking thepolkadotlife.com. Click on that shop tab throughout the month of September. We know that Stampin' Up! Is going to be offering some sort of weekly deal, but we don't know what it is yet. So make sure you check in September 1st and then continue out through the rest of the month and be on the lookout for some good deals. Today, I want to talk to you about the Wonderful World stamp set and designer series paper. It is a Sale-A-Bration offering, and since Sale-A-Bration ends August 31st, I don't want you to miss it. The card we are going to make together today was actually inspired by this one. I just kind of did a few things just a little bit differently, and I really like this layout. So a lot of times I'll get my inspiration from the catalogs. I might not make it exactly how they do, but it gives me a jumping off point. If you need help getting started, the catalogs are a great way to go. So since this is a stamp set and paper offering, it is a free gift with $100 product purchase. So just wanted to let you know, because you don't want to miss out on Sale-A-Bration free gifts when you're restocking your supply for those Christmas cards and all of the things. Now is a great time to buy a prepaid paper pumpkin subscription. Like you can do them in 1 month, 3 month, 12 month, but I like to do mine in 6 or 12 months, and then I hit on those Sale-A-Bration goodies. Let's start out by looking at the stamp set. It is all images. There are no sentiments in this set, but you and I both know that we have a lot of other sets with sentiments that we can pull from, so that's not really a big deal. But these are just really pretty floral images. They may really not look like anything when you see the picture of this case, but when you see them stamped, they are just lovely. Let's take a look at our designer series paper. This piece has several great spotlight images. You can simply take your paper snips and cut around these. You could put a die, like a circle die around this, or just however that you might feel looks good to cut these apart. I think that I probably will just take these some evening with me when I'm watching television and just cut these images out to use on my card. Do not throw away these things on the edge. They are very useful. Just keep these bits in an envelope, either with your DSP or with your stamp set, and you will get a lot of use from them. And a lovely print on the back. I don't even have full sheets left in these prints because I've been using them. That rich raspberry. This is my favorite sheet. It's kind of the cover girl of the set, but it has a lot of that lovely Orchid Oasis in it, and that is my favorite. And it has a very nice leafy image on the back. This is another favorite. I really like this print. It mixes and matches really well with especially a lot of the back sides of these papers. And it has yellow stripe on the back. So even if these florals might not be your thing, the back sides are really great workhorses in your craft room. These smaller images can be punched out, can be die cut. You could fussy cut these as well. Make great for strips, all kind of fun things. And then this beautiful, beautiful backside. I love that with that diamond print. And here we have this, I guess it's Blackberry Bliss, I believe. And it has all of these gorgeous florals on it as well. And then we end with this super sweet print right here. All these lovely little open flowers. I decided that this large floral image was the one I wanted to use. I did play around with some ways that you could stamp it. Of course, you could do a single colored image, just if you just wanted to do like a monochromatic card. You could certainly get away with that with this. I decided the way that I like to do this stamping was to use my blending brushes. If you have not used your blending brushes to put color on your stamps, I think that you will be very pleasantly surprised. I keep these 4 by 5 1/4 sheets of basic white ready all the time. Let me move my brushes over here. And let's start. We are using Orchid Oasis and Garden Green. And let's start with our Garden Green. And there are a few different ways you can do this. You want to ink up your brush well. And then I am just going to kind of softly swirl that color. And you may have to turn the stamp so you can see where those stems end or those leaves are, what have you. Over here, there's a little shoot that comes off of the stem. And then there is the stem up into the second flower. You may have to take your brush like this and get it up in there really, really well. Now, you see that I got some of that green here, so I can just kind of take my finger and rub that off and rub that off here as well. And I went a little too far. If you want to, you don't need to. The colors will blend and it actually is quite pretty. And if you decide to wipe something off with your finger, just make sure you have some hand sanitizer or a Kleenex or something to take care of that so you don't get it on your project. So let's move the Garden Green out of the way and open the Orchid Oasis. We're going to do the same process there. I tried the marker technique and I liked it. I just felt that I liked this look a lot better. But I did get really good results from that as well, if that is something you would prefer to try. Okay. And like I say, I am just blending this color onto this brush. Or onto using the brush onto my stamp. So now this gave me a pretty image, but it was a little bit lighter on the flower than I wanted. So I'm loading my brush really well, and instead of swirling it, I am going to tap it over, and you could do just the edges, you could do just the bottom. You just want a little variation, but it kind of happens that way organically, so you can do that however you would like. Do the same thing. I just like that deeper color. I love this Orchid Oasis. I just can't stop from using it. I don't know what it is. Okay. Now we are going to take our piece of paper and we're going to hold our stamp and we're going to huff on it. And when I say huff on it, I mean we're going to take our warm breath and huff onto this stamp. and that warm moisture from your breath will just reactivate that ink if it's dried. And I'm just going to stamp it right in the middle, and I am going to hold it there for just a little bit. If you wanted that really light watercolor kind of look, you could just stamp quickly, but I found I got the best results when I held this. I didn't wiggle around or any of that stuff. I'm just holding it there. And look how beautiful that turns out. I just love the look of that. And see, you'll see the bottom there is a little bit lighter, and this side is a little bit lighter, even though I went around with it. On that side, I maybe just didn't have as much ink on my brush in that area, or didn't thump on it quite as hard, but that is the result that you get, and I really like it. And then I simply just took one of the deckled rectangles, and I will put which one it is in the blog post, and I cut that out, and that is just super fast way to get a nice focal image onto your card. I have a piece of garden green cardstock, and I have it's called Whisper White on mine. It might have been renamed to Basic White, but it is the white craft ink that we sell, and it is really great for projects all year round. A lot of times it gets used at Christmas time when we're using snow and so on, but I use mine quite often. It just can be used to soften a color a little bit, and that's what I'm going to do today. And it's also going to serve as the mortar on our bricks. Since this is going to be the front that touches my cardstock, you always want to put the Stampin' Up logo up. Then I put that open like that with that Stampin' Up logo down on my work surface. And I am just going to take it, and it's probably really hard to see on camera, but I am just going to take this around here and ink this really well. And even though I know it won't go the whole way across here, I just, for ease sake, I don't worry about getting too much on there. It will just rinse right off. So I am going to take this to my die cutting machine, and I will be right back. You just don't want to move it around. You just want to close it up and hold on to it with a nice grip while you go to your machine and back. Here I am back with my embossing folder, and notice that I go ahead and I do label my embossing folders, and I put if it's a 3D folder right on it. That way I know that I need to use that specialty plate with it. And we are just going to open up, and isn't that really cool? Now, I will just set this aside, and I'll just take it into my sink, and I will just wash it with some warm soapy water, and it will be fine. Okay, we have some pieces here to work with. Let's just start by putting our inside in our card. I like using this as a liner. Now, I know that I could cut something out of the inside of this if I would choose, but I have a few packs of this paper, so I'm not really worried about it. I could also use this side. My card was actually inspired a little bit by my daughter. I started out with a plain white version, which I love. I do love it. I love that crisp feeling of a pure white card with an image on it. And I do love it. I still have it. I can't wait to send it to someone. But she said, you know, why don't you use some of that green? That is really beautiful. And green isn't a cover. And green is not a color where I tend to go very often. I like it for, you know, things like leaves and greenery, but I don't tend to go there other than Christmas time for color, and I need to do that more. But I just thought I liked the look of this on the inside. So pretty, so pretty. So there we have that. And since this is embossed, we're going to take that and use some liquid glue on it. And I think I want to turn my piece this way, when you have this rough embossed surface, we always want to use liquid glue. I know a lot of people don't like to use liquid glue. I go back and forth. It's generally the glue that I go for, but I do like the seal for putting my, like, the liners down in my card. I think that it stays nice and smooth, and you can write on it nicely with it that way. But I do love the wiggle room that we get when we use our liquid adhesive. And I'm just gonna kind of, just to give it a little more chance to smush some of that glue into some of those little crevices. I know it's not gonna come out, but I just wanna smooth over that. Next, I have a piece of designer series paper. And you know, you could use this side or this side, whichever is your favorite. And of course, remaking this, you could use any color, any designer series paper. This is just a template, and I want you to take it and run with it and make different cards. I like to take my scissors sometimes and just kind of rough up my designer series paper. Sometimes it will even, or purposely, I'll even put a little indentation into it sometimes. Sometimes it just happens organically as you're working with it. I mean, you want to be careful not to put a big tear in it, but you just want to kind of rough those edges up, make it look, you could tear this also if you don't like doing this. That's another great effect of design that we could use. And, you know, you could go in some places, especially where there's not a design there and it can be seen a little bit better. See how you can do that. And just work your way around your piece of designer series paper. And there are a lot of different techniques that you can use to kind of distress or just give your paper a different look. You could also take a nail file and rough it up a little bit with it. Now, a lot of times I do use a nail file in my craft room, but a lot of times it is if my blade isn't the sharpest and it leaves a little fuzzy edge there, then you can take that nail file and make it a little bit better. So I'm gonna do that, and I think that I am good there. And so the next thing that I want to do is I want to take my Take Your Pick tool, and I'm just going to kind of grab this corner. I'm just going to start rolling with it. We don't need to go very far. We're not like making a wish in a bottle kind of thing, but just kind of just enough to break the fibers. And it might be that you make it a little bit tighter and then pull it back out a little bit. And just kind of soften that and get that. And you know, you may even want to, let's try this. I didn't do it on my other one, but let's go here and just rough up. And that would be easier to do before you break the fibers in it. But we could rough that one up a little bit as well, just to give it a little more weathered look. Of course, if you don't like doing distressing to your paper, you certainly don't have to. Just put yours down. You could kind of just put it in an angle and be done with it and put it down. So I am going to put this one at an angle, and I'm just gonna, you don't want this sticking up so high that you really have a hard time getting it in an envelope. You may have to just kind of press that down a little bit, but that should be good. And I'm going to take my liquid glue, since we're going up against that layer. And so now I have the glue on that, and I'm just going to put this on at an angle on my card. I'll just give it a little rub as well. And you may just want to take a minute and get all that dust off of your work surface. Next, we're going to bring in this beautiful frayed ribbon. If you didn't have this ribbon, you could use any one that you have. I am going to cut right about here. You can just cut yours to be down there a little bit. I kind of like the frayed look on it a little bit. So I am just going to kind of hold it in place. That way, if I need to give it a haircut or anything, I can easily do it before we adhere this with any kind of adhesive. So, cut off an end there. Now I know I'll be giving this end because I didn't cut it straight. And we're just going to go in there and pull each one of those fray, or those threads that go across there, and that's how you get it to fray. And sometimes it gets hung up and you just have to use your fingernail and kind of smooth over it, and sometimes you have to just cut the side of it and get that to come off, and it'll work itself out. Whatever crazy little piece of fiber is in there that's holding things up. And I want this one to go a little bit more. Maybe take out about this row. And the next one. Because I do think I might have to trim it up just a hair. There we go. We'll just put it down here and see how it looks. I actually think that works pretty well right where it is. I might just rough this up a little bit, and as it goes through the mail or whatnot, it's going to rough up too. Whoops, sticks right to my finger today. We are going to bring back our image now. And I'm just going to take some adhesive, some Seal Plus would be better, but sometimes you can't find it, so you just have to use what you have. And then this is going to go on opposite and maybe not as a dramatic of an angle, if that makes any sense to you at all. And I'm just going to lay this for now. I'm just trying to catch that ribbon where I want it. Okay. And I actually, now that I see it, I want to pull it up this way, but it lets me know kind of where I want that to cross. And it's enough that it's going to hold this down. I may want to put just a little bit more here on this edge. And that's only because I'm not going to adhere this down directly to that paper. If that's what I was doing, I wouldn't worry a thing about it. I know that my adhesive would get it. But we are going to put this on with dimensionals. And you just want to work around your ribbon. You don't want to put it on top of this because this is really thick, and then you would have a kind of a wonky, lopsided card. All right. Of course, it needs dimensionals. And sometimes it doesn't always pick up when you take those off that way, but it generally does loosen them, so you can just knock them loose, or you can just go back and lift them off easily because they aren't so stuck to that adhesive. And just to get this the way I want it, you know me, if you've watched me before, a lot of times I like to put just enough glue on to kill the tack. And that way I have a little wiggle room as to where I want this to go. So I'm kind of making it that this is kind of straight up, this taller flower. Just want to scoot that over just a little bit. There, I like that a lot. And isn't that just super, super pretty? It's really coming together. For most of my cards, I use the Lovely and Lasting stamp set, I think, for all of my examples, or the majority of them, for my greetings. And then I have my Garden Green. And I am just going to go up and down because I just inked my ink pads and they are very, very juicy. And I am just going to take my paper snips. You'll notice I do have two different ones. The one with the ribbon on is the one I try to keep just for ribbon. And I am just going to come over, just kind of eyeball it about how much you want. And I'm just going to cut an angle right there. And I am going to put dimensionals on this as well. And I'm just, since it's just two, I'm just going to pick those off. And I am just going to kind of come across here. I kind of have mine lined up like this on my example to where it's straight across this part. And so on here, it would kind of go downhill. So you can just eyeball it. You can just, with that ribbon and with that deckled edge, it's going to kind of hide if it's not like straight up against there. Or you could take your snips and trim it up there. I kind of like my words on the straighter side of life. But there's no reason that it has to be. There, I think that is super fun. And like I say, you could just go right up here and cut just that little tiny corner off, and then that would be super straight too. But I don't think that anybody's eye is ever going to travel there. And I'm bringing in the rustic metallic dots. And I just thought that they were kind of a little bit on the earthier side, and I like them a lot for this card. Where do I want to put that? Maybe right there. There. I love my Take Your Pick tool for picking these up. They make it so fast and easy. There. And this is a card layout that you could use for a Christmas card. You could use it for a baby card. You could use it for anything. Maybe change a different, obviously a different maybe embossing folder for the baby shower card. But it's just the layout, an embossed layer, a DSP layer, a die cut layer, and your sentiment. And there it is. I just think that that is such a really, really pretty card. And of course, it needs a little coordinating envelope. And next up, we have this card I made with Flirty Flamingo and used some of the Rich Razzleberry. It's a combination I don't think I've ever used before with these colors, the Pear Pizzazz, but I thought that it was really, really pretty. And this one, I just used Happy Birthday, and I just put one of those dots there. I think this is a really, really super cute card. I wanted to make a square card. Now this is just, I think it's 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 is what I did. And I just cut out a circular image, and I thought this one was super fun, and used one of those little strips of paper of this print. Makes great for this, and it fits in a regular envelope. And so there's no special mailing or anything. It's just not as full. You're just really eliminating about an inch off the side. So I thought that one was super fun. I used a different embellishment, used one of those gold flowers there, and it's pretty too. Love this card, this pocket card. And I do think that I am going to be showing you how to make this card with some different embellishments and papers, a different suite of products. But I just thought this was super, super fun. It is just a pocket card, and it just slides in and out of here. You know, you just have to start down a little bit lower to write your message so that it doesn't peek out the top. You could stamp here, you could put DSP here, whatever. I just thought that this was a really pretty card. And I love this green paper. It's kind of like denim in this suite. It goes with everything, and I love it. And see how this blended together? I'm really glad that I didn't change that I left that pink color kind of settled down into that. I'm really happy about that. Here's the white one where I started out. I really liked this dark image and I thought, okay, I'm just going to use this on an all white card. This is the Stitch with Whimsy. I use those dies and it only cuts in, it doesn't cut out. So you just put it on your cardstock and center it how you want it. And then that's where it will just cut into there and give you that design. And added some white thread and it just has some layers and some dimension. And I didn't even do anything on the inside of it. Most of these, I think, most of them I did just as a note card. There you go. And now this one was a lot softer. So here you have 5 different cards. Most of them, now this one, like I say, a few of them I did happy birthday, but I wouldn't have had to do that. They could have just been standalone note cards. I think that they are just beautiful prints to do for all of those all occasions. I love this paper and I think it would be appropriate for sympathy cards, get well cards, all of those workhorse cards that we like to send, especially when if we're making a card ahead of time and we don't exactly know how we're going to use it. I think that these are great, great papers to help with those kind of cards. As always, remember to be kind, send a card, and do something creative. Bye-bye.